What about least?
I don't remember the name of it. It was the one of the earlier ones we read, pretty close to the same time. Earth something. The guy that was really philosophical.
Oh,
It was the longest reading.
Social Conquest.
Social Conquest of
Yeah.
Earth. That was hands down my least favorite.
That was a new one this semester. So why didn't you like that one?
I just didn't appreciate his attitude as I was reading it, and maybe that was just me. I mean, that's possible, but I mean, I just didn't respect him as an author as I was reading it. I wasn't buying his ideas. I didn't like the way he was presenting them.
One-sided.
It was all very one-sided. He didn't ever really consider alternative views to any of his points, whatever those points were. So it was just very black and white for him and anyone else that had any kind of alternative view or alternative thought. Obviously had never thought it through. I mean, that's kind of the perspective and the thought and the feeling I got as I was reading that. So just didn't really appreciate the writing style, didn't appreciate the approach.
I really liked the one that was about drawing in real life.
Bob Kuhn, Drawing on Instinct.
Mhm.
I like that one too.
That one was really great. The one that I liked least was How to Understand a Painting.
The whole book.
Hey, that's actually quite often listed as the one I like least, the whole book.
And I wrote a lot. There were some things about like certain pieces that I really liked. I liked her selection of artwork because, well, for the most part. But the generalizations that she made and the symbols that she chose, I wasn't really sure like what the cat had to do with the whole painting, and she made it seem like this big thing. And like what I'm thinking of, it was the nude with the cat at the bottom.
Yeah, it's
I forgot.
Is it Olympia? No.
Olympia, yeah.
It is Olympia?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds right.
Like that one, I'm like, why is this in the cat and dog section? Like, she was talking about how important the cat was. I showed it to a lot of people, and they were like, "There's a cat? Where?" And I was like, "Right there."
Maybe the nude model just had a cat who, there.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of it was like. A lot of the paintings that she chose for each section didn't make sense because yes, there was a cat, or yes, there was two dogs, but what they have to do with the overall thing, it's very minimal.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that if I drew a cat, that it would have the same symbolism as you say it would.
Yeah, and so, well, you said your favorite was Bob Kuhn, so why was that your favorite as well?
Was that my favorite?
What'd you like about it?
Largely, it was talking about like the time that it takes, and like art takes time, and that he talked briefly about like sometimes you don't like what you sketched, but you sketched it, and it doesn't matter in the long run. Like you just keep going and you keep sketching, and eventually you get better, and like you can capture the motion. I really liked that, and then it also tied into the one who did the imprints in the gallery walkthrough with the I don't want to say adults, I want to say faculty.
Faculty. The printmaking?
The printmaking. With the horses.
Yeah, he's the main printmaker
horses.
person. Can't remember his name.
And how he went out in the field and just like made these things like right there with the horses. And that was really, that idea really interested me. Making art as it was happening rather than from a photograph like most of us seem to do.
I think Bob Kuhn's was one of my favorite too.
I'm not sure if the ones that I listed were like my absolute favorite or absolute least favorite. They were just, I don't know, ones that stand out. Yeah. at this moment in time.
Mine were the absolutes.
A lot of them are just kind of like, yeah, that happened. I read that. And helped me. It helped me in some parts. Didn't help me in others.
What about you?
Yeah, social conquest of Earth did like, all the,
Same reasons
yeah,
or?
same. How to understand pain was good, clearing images as well. How to understand the pain, it just helped me to actually come up with, thoughts for myself. Like, it's like, this isn't what you should, this is the artist or the author saying you should think of this, but on the contrary, it's like, I should think this, and then just developing your own ideas of the pieces, or, agreeing or disagreeing, so that's why I really like that. I didn't like it, but I liked it.
Yeah, so you didn't agree with her. You
Yes.
didn't agree with her, but it got you thinking deeply about paintings.
Exactly.
So in the end, it was still very useful in that sense. Yeah.
I would second that sentiment.
Yeah. Yeah, she wrote another one, How to Look at a Painting, which is what we used previously. But she wasn't as off base about some things as she is in this one. But it didn't quite get at what we wanted for students, and so they went looking for another one, and they were like, oh, here's how to understand a painting, and like, the other one wasn't too bad. Let's try this one out, like, because it might be a little more down our alley, and then it ended up not being as good as the first one. So,
Okay.
but at the same time, it is true. Just like the social conquest, maybe you disagree with what he's saying, but it really forces you to think through what you think. And so it's the same thing, like with this, how to understand a painting. Maybe you think that, like, why the heck would, this cat is not important, or why is there no mention at all of sexuality, and yet there's religion in everything. And whereas
Even weird stuff.
exactly, but it gets you thinking and disagreeing, and it elicits a response. Sometimes it's good to do that. Although they actually aren't teaching this course again. So
What?
yeah.
Wait, like, after this semester, it's not going to be taught anymore?
No.
Oh, man.
Weird, why?
Wendy is retiring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's still going to be around through the fall, but they're not going to teach it in the fall, at least unless they just randomly decided to add it back in again. But it's my understanding that this was the last semester.
Oh.
Glad we did it.
Yeah,
For us.
that was the time to the time to go through. So we actually only have one more question.
Okay.
And that one is, in what ways do you think visual images have the power to evoke memories, meanings, and emotions that other things like talk or text don't do in the same way?
That's loaded.
I don't know, it's like walking down the store sometimes and you smell like the cinnamon scented potpourri. And all of a sudden I'm happy because I think of Christmas. Sometimes when you look at a painting, there's something in it that you're just like, you deeply connect with, and it doesn't matter what emotion connects with it, and you're just like, wow. And maybe it is like as small as like, I don't know, you see a bird in a tree and all of a sudden you're like bawling because it reminds you of this favorite pet. Or I can't remember any specific examples from the art that I've seen.
The women dancing in the moonlight elicited a response from a lot of people on the beach, out on the beach dancing. A similar response to that, at least, of people remembering times that they.
If I had my sketchbook, I could probably be like, you only have that one. But
Yeah.
With talk, it depends on the person, how much you get out of the conversation. Like, just what kind of person they are. Are they shallow, or are they like really intentional? When text, you never, it's really hard to interpret a text message sometimes.
Never send sarcasm
Like,
via text.
What do you mean? Or like, what do you mean? Or, it's
Yeah.
just, but like with artwork, you can see different colors, textures, objects, and then that can evoke different memories in different people. It's very different from just talking, and definitely different from texting.
I remember one. There was one, it was a painting of Joseph and Jesus when Jesus was like a kid and they were doing carpentry over like candlelight. And it reminded me of like these conversations that I'd had with my mom while my dad was working graveyard. And it was like midnight and we were just talking. And I always really enjoyed that. And so that's one thing that very little to do with the painting, but I really connected with it.
So I guess just in closing, is there any other final thoughts on the class? In general, your like or dislike of it? Or if there's, certain things we did in the class, maybe activities that you just really enjoyed, or, different studio times or whatever.
Professors make or break the class, and Wendy and Diane were awesome. So,
Yep.
I mean, they just made the class what it is. It was good.
I really enjoyed Diane's asking questions when we started to seem like we were all agreeing on something and being like, well, what about this other point of view? About this difference or that difference, or like our last class when she was like, you all seem to be talking about emotion, but it seems like it can be really difficult too, like what do you think about that?
Very good at devil's advocacy.
Yeah.
I appreciate the variety in the course. I think Diane and Wendy just did a great job mixing things up. We did spend forever talking about how to understand the painting and glittering images. But I mean, even then, we were learning interesting stuff every day. Whether we were learning about abstract expressionism or the more old style paintings. So I mean, in everything we had variety, which was great. It was unique. I think 95% of my undergraduate has been spent staring at PowerPoints. And so it was really refreshing to do something different and unique. And I think Wendy and Diane were just great presenters. They were great at being able to teach without having to rely on this restrictive media outlet that everyone else uses.
I'm in a lot of discussion classes, so I really wanted more studio time. I think that was one thing
Yeah, more studio time. Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
Was there a particular studio time that we had that was like your favorite, that like stands
Painting.
out? Painting?
Painting, yeah.
Yeah, I think when Erica took over and did the paint mark making, that was a lot of fun. Just experimenting and playing, and then the talk we had afterwards about like how everybody had a different way of going about it, even though we all had access to the same materials.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.